Welcome in. Day one of the men's competition is complete in Milan. Uh, Welcome in. Matt Merrifield is a floating head in a cabin, looking like prime Mike Tirico right here. Myself, Nick Burt, just not even floating behind a bookshelf. What a day one. Matt, how are you doing after 120 minutes of best on best hockey?
I mean, what a great day of Olympic hockey overall. And I mean, truly, it was an absolute, couldn't have gotten much better for two games. A lot of credit to the Italians for making that an entertaining hockey game. Shout out Gustafsson for allowing that over to hit because there's no reason for either one of those goals to go in, especially the first one. We'll get into that. But overall, a good start. Full slate tomorrow, starting at 6 a.m. Will I be up? Probably not. Not for the Swiss and France to play each other, but still, great start. And we have 11 more days of it. Can't wait.
That is indeed true. Let's just get straight into it. Today's two results. It was Slovakia. Shock. Well, I don't even know if it was shocking. I would say so. We both had Finland kind of winning easy. They defeat Finland 4-1. And then the aforementioned Italian national team puts up 2 goals on Sweden, but Sweden score 5 on Sweden get the win to start off their group play. Matt, let's start with that Finland-Slovakia game. I feels like we probably should have, estimated the Slovakian team a little bit more. Slavkovsky, he just scores in Olympics apparently. Given that we both forgot that he was in the last Olympics in 2022 and was MVP of those Olympics and had 2 goals and an assist today.
Yeah, to be completely honest, I didn't watch a single second of the Olympics in 2022. Hockey or fully of anything. That was my freshman year of college, and I just had zero interest in watching the Olympics. I don't even know if my family had Peacock yet, and I didn't have cable. So either or. But Slavkovsky, that was my big question: is could he handle the spotlight and carrying the offense for Slovakia? I did ask that question, not being aware of what he had done 4 years ago. He was ready 4 years ago, apparently, even though it wasn't against the very best in the world. And coming into today, he was still ready. I mean, Slovakia looked very good. A great goaltending performance, and that's the Olympic goaltending performance that we come to expect. A AHL goaltender, 46th in the league in save percentage, coming out and stopping. What did he finish with? 38 saves, something like that.
38 saves, yep,
38
which
saves.
is a Slovakian Olympic record.
Of course, it is. At the same time, for Finland, some of the things I was concerned about really were apparent. Saros was not very good. He looked uncomfortable the entire game. Boucher, is that how you say it, Brian Boucher?
Yes.
Ringside noticed early. Oh, he seems a little nervous. It never got better. His rebound control was not very good the entire game. Every time the puck hit him, it was sitting in front of him. He couldn't control anything. And then that first goal, the center, I think that was Aho, plus the two defensemen for Finland were just out to lunch. That Slavkovsky had that much room to work with. That's criminal. Finland did not look good, and now they get to play Sweden. So now, luckily for them, they get to move on to the medal round regardless. So it doesn't really matter, but still, that's not the start you want to the tournament. And I guess going back to, I mean, that is not the start Finland was looking for, and they couldn't put the puck in the back of the net. So overall, not a good day for the Finns.
One of our biggest problems going into yesterday, we mentioned it on both shows. Who's scoring for Finland? They just seem to struggle today. And it's not getting easier after this. Yes, you're going to play Italy at the end, but Italy kind of put up a fight today. We'll get into that in a minute and what possibly is going on after that. But overall, the Finnish team, they just did not look as well as they probably should have today. And it does raise major questions. We have always questioned who is going to score goals for this team. And the other question is now is, do you start Saros against Sweden?
Their option is it would be Lankinen, who
Yep.
they played at Four Nations. We talked about that in the preview show. I I mean, Saros was fine. You'd have to hope that he'd be better. Truly, you can't not start him against Sweden, in my opinion. Like, did he play bad? He did play bad, but I don't know if it was warranted. I still thought he played better than Gustafsson today. And then on the other side, the biggest thing that was concerned for me is we talked about who's going to score. Not that you're going to score every game, but Mikko Rantanen was a ghost today. Like, I don't think I noticed him on the ice a singular time. Heiskanen, I noticed. Aho, I noticed a little bit more so doing not good things. He stood out in a bad way, but at least he stood out. To not stand out at all for Mikko Rantanen, that is scary. So he's got to get right, and Finland's got to figure some things out quickly. Obviously, with the quick turnaround playing on Saturday.
Yeah, quick turnaround for them. The only goal scorer for Finland today was Tolvainen, which, again, when your big names aren't even getting on the score sheet, because none of them had assists either. It was Armia and Lehtinen had the assist on that one. You are 100% correct that Rantanen was a ghost today. Did not notice his presence on the ice. Just, again, it was a struggle. All credit to Slovakia, though. That was a fantastic performance. Again, maybe we underrated them a bit. We'll see how it plays out against Sweden. Obviously, they have Italy next. They'll probably float through that, I would assume, but it's going to be that big game at the end of the group stage for them, which will most likely decide who is getting a bye to the quarterfinals. Given that, I'm assuming both will get wins in their next game. Should be interesting to see how that plays out. Let's get to the other game. 5-2 Sweden. Matt, we both thought this was going to be a blowout. Yes, the scoreline does kind of indicate that, but two of those goals were with less than 5 minutes left. This was a much, much closer game than I think anybody thought.
Yeah, I mean, it was close in terms of the score. I mean, Sweden dominated that hockey game, like truly.
Yes.
And I give the Italians credit. They knew that they're going to just their whole mindset was keep the puck out of their net. And they did that pretty well, holding Sweden to 2 goals. They gave up 2 in the first, and only giving up 1 in the second. Then the gates finally broke late in the third, but they gave themselves a chance all the way through. They took advantage of I mean, I've not seen a goal that bad in a while. That Gustafsson gave up to give Italy the 1-0 lead. I actually walked away from my television for a second, and then I don't know who was calling the game for Peacock, but all of a sudden I hear him yelling from the other room, and I come in and I see that Italy is celebrating, and I truly couldn't believe that they had scored the opening goal. There was one other chance they had in the second period off another horrible Sweden turnover. It was in the first period, and I forget who had the chance, and Italy missed the net, and that if that goes in, I'm really not sure where that game turned. I mean, Sweden controlled it. They had 60 shots on goal. But overall, Sweden, they played like how I would have expected the Americans to play in that game. And that's an insult. That is derogatory towards the Swedes and towards American hockey. I mean, they came out and although they controlled the game, they played sloppy, they played entitled, they played like they listened to us talk about how they're going to win 8-0. That can't happen to Finland. Now, luckily, they got the win, and they are going to have a scrambling Finland team coming out on Wednesday. So I'm curious to see what that looks like, or on Saturday, excuse me. But not the best performance from the Swedes. I think all the pieces are there. We saw it. It's just, can they put together? And then the other question is, who do they put in goal? Because that was unacceptable from Gustafsson today.
100%. That was going to be my next question. Do you put him out there for the Finland game? Those are 2 very bad mistakes that he made in goal today. Again, it doesn't really end up mattering when you put up 60 shots. It's most likely not going to end up mattering that you gave up a goal or 2. But overall, kind of like you said, Sweden looked sloppy today. It looked like they really weren't. They were already looking ahead to this Finland game, I would say. Even though, is it somewhat justified? Yes. But again, if that second goal goes in the first period and we are depending on where the scoreline was, if we are still level at 2-2 going into the first intermission, game turns out a lot differently. But for Sweden, 60 shots, that's a Olympic record in the best on best era, so 98 to present. Finland and Canada had the previous record at 57, that per Elliot Friedman, so I trust him with that. But the bigger question was the standout performance from Damien Clara today, the Italian goalkeeper. Had an amazing performance, 46 saves, gets injured stopping an Elias Pettersson breakaway in the third period. Obviously the big question for Italy is he going to be back by their next game? Don't know the extent to that injury, but I would say by far had the best performance for Italy today.
I mean, 100%. He stole the show. And I think what we're seeing, I hope is the biggest takeaway from this Olympics, is how small the gap is truly from the NHL. I mean, the best in the world. I know we talked about the teams with the NHL talent, the teams without the NHL talent. The gap is small for skaters, and when the gap when it comes to goaltending is even smaller. Like truly, the difference between Connor Hellebuck and Damien Clara is not as big as you think, especially with Clara having the size that he does, 6'5", a very strong goaltender. He played a little bit in North America. He played a couple games in North America last year, part of the Ducks system. He's a Ducks draft pick a couple of years ago, so he will play in North America in the near future, I have to imagine, and a very strong goaltending performance. And he gave him he gave Italy every chance that they could have had to win that game. That save he made on Pettersson, I don't know how Pettersson didn't score. That is as close as he could have come to putting that in the back of the net. And as soon as he made that save, I thought, wow, I would have pulled my groin doing that. And I'm pretty sure that's what he did. That's what that looked like. It's disappointing. Hopefully he's back. I'm curious to see what Italy looks like on Saturday, because as we see in other sports, and it applies to hockey too, Slovakia, will they be drinking the rat poison for the next 48 hours? Coming off a big win and upset over Finland. Obviously, Italy's only going to have so many performances like that, like they had today. And Claire's only going to be able to play so well for so long. So what will that game look like on Saturday? I'm very curious to see. But obviously, Slovakia puts themselves in a pretty good shot to be 2-0 in group stage going into that Sweden game to finish things out. And Italy, they got to be proud of themselves for coming out and put on a good show. Game number 1 against the second best team on paper. And we'll see what they look like moving forward, but not the embarrassing performance. I don't know if the French will look quite as inspired though tomorrow.
Yeah. Do you have any final comments on these two games today before we start previewing tomorrow?
I don't think so. I mean, it was an overall good day, and I am excited for tomorrow. So let's get into it.
All right, let's get our 6:10 puck drop out of the way. That is, of course, Eastern Standard Time. That is France, Switzerland. Switzerland, big favorite. Matt, do you really have much to say here other than Switzerland? And that's about it.
I mean, that's about it. I'm excited to see what some of the golden era of Team Switzerland can do in terms of getting to see the prides of the New Jersey Devils and Timo Meier and Nico Hischier go out and play. But overall, I mean, I'm fine with this game being at 6 a.m. I can sleep in and not really have to worry about missing much, in my opinion. Maybe when I wake up, I'll tune in if it's still a close game. I mean, Switzerland's forwards are pretty solid, to be completely honest. Kevin Fiala, Hischier. You do have Meier, Suter, and Kurashev. You have a full NHL line right there, and Niederreiter. It's just France is going to be the worst team in this tournament. So I'm curious. Based on what I'm seeing, I don't know if Schmidt is starting tomorrow. Based on the website I'm looking at, Daily Faceoff has I just refreshed as Leonardo Giannoni starting in goal. I'm curious to see if that holds up. Now these line combinations haven't been updated in a week. So, but I mean, Schmidt has been solid for Vegas, and obviously he's the NHL netminder. But there's not much I'm expecting out of this hockey game.
Completely agree with you there. Given today's performances, I'm not sure if we should maybe expect a little bit from the French team, but given what I've seen from them on the women's end of hockey, because even the Italian women have done rather decently this tournament. They made the quarterfinals. The French team is absolutely awful. I am kind of expecting the same here. I get they have an NHLer compared to Italy's zero, but I choose not to believe this French team is going to be good. And I think Switzerland rolls easy here. Let's move on though. Our second game of the day, 10:40 puck drop. Honestly, probably the best game of the day. Canada-Czechia. Matt, the most important question here: who's starting in goal tomorrow?
In my opinion, it should be Jordan Binnington. He's earned the right for it to be his goal. I believe it was it Chicklets that interviewed Marc-Andre Fleury. And
Yes.
he said the same thing. Like it's his net. It should be based on how he played last year. We'll see if John Cooper sticks with Jordan Binnington. Either way, I don't want to say it should matter, but honestly, I think tomorrow's gonna be a really good hockey game. We obviously know the history between these two teams in terms of World Juniors the last couple of years, and I mean, based on what we saw today, it's going to be a playoff atmosphere. And I think the thing we kind of took for granted is with the NHL players not being there, kind of that extra just intensity, just a little bit of it being new. And maybe that was a disadvantage for Sweden because they got to play last year. And obviously Italy, Italy's just there to show up and play for pride. Finland got to play last year. And so they kind of looked like it compared to Slovakia today, who came out with their hair on fire. Could that look similarly tomorrow, where Czechia gets an opportunity of those NHLers get to go out and play for their country for the first time in a very long time to play on that top stage, whereas the Canadians are kind of expected to be there? I think it's going to be a great hockey game, and if you have the chance, this definitely should be the one you are tuned into.
Yeah. With the goaltending question, I think it should be Binnington. I was listening to 32 Thoughts this morning. They were previewing the whole tournament, and the question came up: would you rather have Binnington start in this game and have Thompson or Kemper go tomorrow or on Friday, when you have a little bit of a not as tough competition against Switzerland, or would you rather have it flipped and have Binnington go out against a slightly easier competition in Switzerland and have Thompson take the more difficult game, or Kemper? I'm team, let's start Binnington tomorrow. Let's figure out what we have in him. Because, again, nobody's getting eliminated at this point. You have a bad game. Worst case scenario is you're playing an extra game. That's really all it is. I would rather figure out if Binnington is going to be NHL Binnington that we've seen this season or Four Nations Binnington that we saw last year. It's probably going to lean more towards the NHL one. I would rather figure that out in game one than game two. But overall, I think you bring up a good point. With, the Czechs, they didn't have this experience last year. I believe it was Pasternak came out at some point this week during media availability, said, we felt disrespected that we weren't invited last year. Should have been us over Finland, or I think he said Finland. This is a team that's kind of feel like they got something to prove, because we look 2 years down the line, World Cup of Hockey. We're not fully sure on a format yet. I'm pretty sure Gary said there's going to be no qualifiers. So the NHL is picking the 8 or 10 teams that are going to go. Obviously, the Czechs are probably going to be one of those 8 or 10, but going out and having a great performance in an Olympics isn't going to hurt your case. Overall, though, this is going to be the best game tomorrow. I 100% believe that, because the next two games we'll get to in a minute, I feel like don't have the juice that this one does. We, like you said, we know the history with the World Juniors, at least in the past 2 years. The Czechs have been Canada's kryptonite in the knockout stages. Now, we can look back to 2 months ago when they faced off in the first game in the group stage at World Juniors, and Canada was running over them. Porter Martone was slapping people's butts on the Czechs, and then they just came back to bite them in the semifinals. Does that really matter in this case? Probably not, because none of these players played in the World Juniors. So Overall, I'm personally very excited for this game. I think Canada wins this game. I think it's going to be closer than what people expect. Honestly, I'm not going to be surprised if this game goes to overtime. What are you thinking, Matt?
I would have to agree. I think it's going to be a one-goal game either way. I think this is, like I said, this is the game to watch. And everybody's focused on the Canadian goaltending side of things. Czechia has a decision to make in the morning. I am team Karen Vejmelka. Will that happen? I don't know. I know Dostal is kind of been almost been very highly thought of in terms of Czechia's goaltending situation. I think Vejmelka, the way he's played this year, the form he's been in, you have to ride with him in a game where, once again, we have to reiterate, it doesn't really matter. This game, winner or loser, I think both teams are going to end up being fine following this game. But getting off on the right foot, giving yourself the best chance, and knowing what you have going in. For Canada, Binnington, you know what he's going to bring you. And if he doesn't play well enough, fine, you don't have to play in the rest of the tournament. But you have to at least owe him that and owe your team that when you know what you're going to get from Binnington going into this first game. But I agree. I think it's going to be a really close game, and it should be a lot of fun.
Completely agree there. Let's move on. We have 2 3-10 puck drops, which, sure, why not? Because let's just have double box hockey for 2.5 hours from 3 to 5:30 p.m. here on the Eastern Standard Time Zone. USA-Latvia. This should be easy for the U.S., but I said in our preview, Latvia is a team that can have a absolutely phenomenal goaltending performance, and this game is 2-1 or something along those lines going into the final 10 minutes, and it could rattle the U.S. I don't know. This is very interesting because the U.S. has to tread lightly here, it feels like.
100%. I think the Americans aren't going to have an issue tomorrow, unlike past teams. Past teams, I would 100% believe, would come out and play like Sweden did today. I'm going to, for some reason, choose to buy into the Kachucks and the Hughes brothers, and they're going to come out, and they're going to come out guns blazing, and they're going to be physical with Latvia early. They're going to get a goal early, and then they'll just take over from there. And it won't be a blowout. I'm not going to say here they're going to win 6-0, but they should win comfortably 4-1, 3-1, but they should win this hockey game. And if they struggle, I'm going to feel really, really shitty about my gold medal prediction for this United States club. But I do believe that this year is different, although they are not built to be different, and they're built to play the Canadians. I hate this team, but yet I'm still completely leaning into them. So, but tomorrow's going to be a good test. Good goaltending, regardless of who Latvia throws out in there in goal. I have to imagine Merzlikins, but as we talked about 12 years ago, Guzlevskis, or whatever the hell you say it, was phenomenal. Almost stole a game from the Canadians. So we'll have to wait and see. It's going to be fun. And most importantly, we're getting to see the Americans play Olympic hockey for the first time in 12 years with NHLers. So I will be at work. I will be finding a way to be on my break or something for most of this game. We'll figure it out. I won't be doing anything. I would never do anything when I'm there. So we'll be fine.
The big thing coming out about the U.S. today is projected lines. It seems like Clayton Keller getting scratched tomorrow. I know you're probably not a fan of that, given there's 2 specific players in general
Why
you'd
on
rather
earth
scratch.
Clayton Keller, the odd man out?
Yeah, he is apparently the odd man out tomorrow. They're making it really hard on me to root for this damn team. I mean, this is. Oh yeah, there you go. Brock Nelson with Jack Hughes on his left wing and JT Miller on his right. What the fuck? Seriously. Who's the American coach? It's Sullivan, right? Yeah, Mike Sullivan.
Wear a blindfold wearing this. Did he drape the American flag around his face before he filled out this line chart? What the hell? I mean, I like Eichel with the Kachuk brothers. And honestly, I like Boldy, Matthews, and Gunsel a lot. But that bottom 6, Larkin with Thompson, God, but what is that 4th line? there are three. There's got to be a better combination. And why is? I mean, I saw yesterday that Jack Hughes might have been the guy not to even play. He was at risk of being the scratch, which also boggles my mind. This team makes it really hard. That's all I'm gonna say. They're treading. They're treading. Let's look at the D pairs. What do we got for D pairings? Slavin and Faber, Hughes and Mac. I like Hughes and McAvoy a lot. I think that's the best pairing in the entire tournament. And this has Trocheck with Hannafin. I don't think that's right. But anyways,
Yeah,
I'm
because
just glad Vincent Trocheck's there. I'm glad JT Miller's in the lineup. I'm glad Vincent Trocheck is just there to exist. I can't wait to see how many face-offs he wins from the press box tomorrow. Anyways, it's fine. It's fine.
so what I saw today, that was Emily Kaplan, it's Clayton Keller, Jackson Lacombe are going to be your two scratches, most likely tomorrow.
Lacombe ain't going to see the ice the entire tournament.
I don't think so either. Hellebuck starting, not really surprised by that.
I'm not either, but still gross.
Yeah. Overall, though, U.S. shouldn't have trouble, but shouldn't is the key word there. And then, like I said, this game ends up 2-1 with 10 minutes left, and it's like, what the hell is happening? Any final thoughts here on the U.S.? Any last parting thoughts you want to get out before they play a game?
Don't let me down. I don't know. I mean, Jesus. All I hope, I swear, if Mike Sullivan has to go into the intermission at the end of the second period and ask him who they're playing, it's to flip a table because this team is playing Latvia at the Olympics, I'm going to lose my mind. There's no reason. This isn't Sweden. This isn't a throwaway game up in Rochester. It's Latvia in the Olympics. Get it together. They haven't even started yet, and I'm already preparing for the worst. But I think it'll be fine. You know what? If there's a team that's going to look like crap tomorrow and be on the ropes, I don't think it'll be the Americans. Of the other games being played tomorrow, I think I truly think I think this team is different. I think they're going to come out. When it comes to playing Sweden and Canada, will they have the horses to get it done? That remains to be seen. But I do think this team is good enough to handle anybody that is lesser than in talent, in my opinion. But we'll see. I'm prepared to eat my words.
Hey, it is what it is. I do agree, though, on the point that you just said. Of all the teams that could have a letdown tomorrow, I feel like the U.S. isn't the favorite there to be a letdown. I honestly think Canada might be the biggest one. Given the goaltending question.
Yeah, but like there's Canada losing tomorrow would not be the biggest surprise to me either. And that's just Czechia is a good team. Now I'm not super high on the Czechs and their depth, but they still have David Pastrnak, who's one of the best players in the world. They still have NHL talent throughout the lineup. So I wouldn't be the most surprised. I mean, I guess I would have to, the most surprising would obviously be Switzerland, just because I fully expect France to be absolute dog shit. But also the following game, I think the most likely one would be Germany lays an egg, and we were completely wrong. But I guess we'll find out. We can get into that game to finish things off, I guess.
Yeah, let's get right into that game. Denmark, Germany. Of the 4 games tomorrow, this is the one with smallest odds. Germany is minus 275 or 275 to win. Compare that to Canada, who's minus 630. The Switzerland was minus 1450, and the USA was minus 3000. So Germany, the smallest favorite here, yet odds-wise, they're still kind of a large favorite in this game. This is a game the Germans should kind of be winning easily, given that I would say talent discrepancies between the two. Germany seems to have a lot more answers compared to Denmark having a lot more questions. Your overall thoughts here for this game tomorrow to close us out?
I think as the projected D partner for Mo Sider has a great name, Fabio Wagner. Great name. Just unfortunately, it appears that I don't remember what the defenseman's name was, Nick, that you wondered if he was going to be on the D pairing, the 40-year-old.
Moritz Mueller.
Yeah, it appears that he is not going to be dressed tomorrow.
Disappointing.
Yeah. Jonas Mueller will be dressed, but I mean, I like Germany, Grubauer is that one big question mark. Is he's played pretty well as the backup in Seattle this year, but does he have enough? But once again, you're going to give me a hockey team with Leon Draisaitl on it versus a team that doesn't have much else NHL talent to really compete with, besides Ehlers and Ehlers and Eller up top. Jesus. So from that standpoint, I mean, I'm not a huge fan of this Denmark team. I'm not expecting a whole lot. So, but hey, we'll see what. Hey, it was a big week for Gingers with Sam Darnold winning a Super Bowl. We'll see if Freddie Anderson can carry that momentum between the pipes tomorrow for the Danes.
I completely agree here. I mean, I don't trust Freddie Anderson. Out of the two goaltenders, I much rather would have Grubauer. You can't get me to pick against a team with Leon Draisaitl. I get that he's not going to have his best partner, McDavid, with him because they play for two different countries, obviously. But I think he can figure it out. He'll be fine. The Germans do have the better top talent compared to Denmark. Like you said, Denmark, it's Lars Eller, Nikolai Ehlers, and then it's who knows past that. Obviously, with Draisaitl, Reichel, Stützle, Peterka, and then obviously you can get into the D pairs. You already said Seider. This German team is just better. They should win this game. I don't think this will be the closest game tomorrow. I still think that's going to be the Czech-Canada game. I think that's a one-goal game. This feels like it's a one-goal game with 3 minutes left, and then you have one or two empty netters, and then the score line looks much larger than what it felt like the whole game. But this, out of all the games, I think this is the most 50-50 toss-up of them. But I still think Germany should control this game quite easily.
I mean, the other thing I will add on that I kind of was reminded of, I forget what I saw. I think honestly it was just some post on social media because Russia won gold, or the athletes of Russia won gold at Pyeongchang in 2018. Germany was the silver medalist, which is crazy to think about. And there are still a couple guys on this Germany squad that were part of that team and then played in 2022 as well. So there is that Olympic experience. I know Denmark has a similar situation, but Germany's had the success there, which leads me to believe that they're going to have some pretty good success and they might even compete for a medal this time around. So, I mean, I'm excited to see what Leon Draisaitl looks like playing for Germany. And I'm just happy that we have more depth this year, just in overall talent that, it's not just the big four, Russia, and then, the Czechs and Slovakia are dangerous. Like we have 9 hockey teams that are competitive, that have compelling players. And, when I turn on the TV, I can actually get interested in. I think even Switzerland has something to watch. It's just unfortunately they're playing the French. So I have no interest in watching the French play hockey. So.
Very valid. We'll wrap it up there. Big day tomorrow. Can't wait for it. We'll be back tomorrow. Matt, I know your scheduling was questionable.
11 o'clock tomorrow, noon to 11. So.
Okay, then it will just be me tomorrow. I will be rambling on when Latvia beats the US 2-1, and Matt won't be here to defend any of it. Hey,
it's probably the best if that ends up happening.
That is probably true. So I will be back tomorrow. Matt, you'll be back on Friday. Canada may be 0-2 by then. Who knows? And then it's a real dangerous situation here on this show. So thank you so much for watching. Even you international viewers, whether you're in Canada, whether you're in Italy, or whether you're in Russia, shout out to you guys. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you again tomorrow here on the Nick Burt Sports Network.